Hello, welcome to this month's edition of LinkedIn Live. I come to you every last Wednesday of the month, now at 10:30 Eastern Time, to talk about all things turning expertise into scalable revenue. And so this week, this month, I am going to talk about, when you're ready for that next stage of development to turn your expertise into a scalable asset. But before we get started, I wanted to go over a little bit of housekeeping. One is to please feel free to ask your questions as I go along. There is a little bit of a delay between when you enter your comments in the chat and when they get to me. And so the sooner you get them in, the more likely I will be to be able to answer them for you while I'm here live. But in the event I'm not able to, still put them in the comments, and I will answer those questions in the comments as I receive them. Also, to let you know that this will be recorded, and you can find the recording at my profile and on my YouTube channel. And so, with that, I'm going to go over this for about 15 minutes or so, and then there'll be plenty of time for questions. And of course, always feel free to connect with me at any time on LinkedIn. So, let's get going. So I'm going to use an example, and honestly, sometimes it's just helpful, but it would apply to any expertise-based business who works with corporate clients. And so in my example today, let's say you provide one-on-one DEI training to your corporate clients, and you are thinking about licensing that training to other corporate trainers. They've expressed interest in using your training. So is it time? You know that you're ready, you're doing the one-on-one services, you're interested in creating something that doesn't require so much of your time. You want to grow, but you don't want to work more. And so what does that mean? That means creating an asset that can be leveraged without you, and therefore decoupling your income from your time. And so that's what I do, is that I help you turn your expertise into an intellectual property asset so that it is available for other people to use it without you. And so I created this training. I think I mentioned this in the invitation. There was one week, it was a couple weeks ago, where 3 days in a row, somebody asked me, uh, am I ready for you or not? And I think another was, do you have a resource that I can look at that tells me whether or not I'm ready? And I realized I'm looking at my website, I'm looking at the things that I have. And I'm like, I've never quite answered this question. And no, I do not have a resource for this. And so this presentation today is to talk you through some of the elements, but I will also be creating a PDF resource as well that will have some assessment questions on there that you can use to help you. So let's go through this high level. First of all, and I'm going to complain just a little bit. I kind of knew this was going to happen because my slides are created in Google Slides. And because I am who I am, I turn them into PowerPoints. And so when I went into Google Slides this morning, they had a thing that says you can now add GIFs to your slides. And I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. So I added all these GIFs that were all animated, super cool. And now they're not moving. So maybe I'll figure out how to do it in the recording because I'm pretty upset about that. So this first one, all right, is you have happy clients. Remember, right now, when you're providing your one-on-one services, you are the product and you are delivering value to your clients. They like what you're doing. You're getting great testimonials and feedback. And so you have something, you've created something that creates results. And that's the kind of product, well, we're talking about services here, the service that would be of value to other people who want to use it. I say this because sometimes people come to me because they're having a a cash flow problem, and by that I mean they don't have enough clients. I should say a client problem. And so they're underutilized and they're looking for a new revenue stream. They're like, oh, I know, I'll license what I do to other people and that will add this new revenue stream. Well, that's great if you're at capacity because you already have all these happy clients. If you are not at capacity or you don't have this flow of clients, then maybe that is not where you want to be. You want to make sure you're at a place that there will be a market for people who want to license this from you. And that market is proven because you have happy clients. So that would be the first step. The second, I'm so upset about my gifts. The second is that you own the content. If you're going to create something that you're going to license to other parties, you have to have the legal right to do that. Not that I'm going to go over all the copyright issues, but when we're talking about licensing our content, when we're talking about turning our expertise into a scalable asset, we're talking about a copyrightable asset, something that is protected under US copyright law. And in order to be able to license that content to a third party, you either have to own it or you have to have the right to license it to the third party. If it's been licensed to you, then that would be a sub-license. And so it's always best if you own the content. When you own the content, they can only get it from you. You have it exclusively. That increases the value of the content. The more exclusive something is, the more valuable it is. So when you own the content, then you are ready to roll. So let's go back to the DEI training example. If you got your DEI training maybe from your old employer, you used to do that in-house and you took that with you, and now you've been using it with one-on-one clients and no one's quite noticed, but now you're going to use it to create a licensable asset. You don't own that. You're not ready. If your training comes from a third-party certification program, maybe you took a certification course in DEI trainings and they provided you with your workbooks and your assessments and all these things, and that's what you've been using to serve your one-on-one clients. Well, you probably don't have the right to sub-license that to other people or to create your own, like say a book or course from it. That means you don't own the content, and that means you're not ready for it. And I'll just add this, which I wasn't even thinking about till right now, but in the AI space, that the things that come off of that are products of AI chats are not copyrightable. They can't be protected by copyright law, and there is no representation about how original it is or the source of it. And so we would not be ready if you have content that came off of ChatGPT or one of the other AI platforms. So the second very important bit is that you own the content. I'm sure I didn't miss anything. And yeah. And so a very important part of what I do when I work with clients to create a licensable asset is that we go through an audit process where I go through all of the content to make sure that you actually own it all. So that's very important. So we make sure we know that, clean up any problems. If you got something from, a third party, you got something off the internet, you have something from a contractor that you don't have an agreement for. These are all ways that we may not own all of our content, and we need to clean that up. Then you will have to document it. And this was a great gift. I'm just saying. You've documented your methodology, your training, whatever your form of genius is. And this one is surprisingly difficult. Like for me, I have my process that I go through with my clients where we audit, protect, and leverage. I can talk about it all day, every day. I know it inside and out, but have I documented it? In part, but a lot of it is just because I know it so well. And it is surprising how many people really do have one and two down, nailed it. But so much of what they do with their one on one clients is just their genius of being in the room with their clients. And when it gets down to actually putting it in a documented form that could be delivered by somebody else, they can really run into some challenges. And so for some, that might mean, going to an instructional designer. I'm not saying that everyone has to do that. Many, many, many people do not need to go there. But depending on the complexity of what you do and how much translation is required between, your genius and putting it in a format that other people can be can license your genius, so to speak. Sometimes that takes a bit of work. But in order for you not to be in the room when your methodology is being delivered, you have to get it in a documented process that somebody else can follow. And so that would be the third step of being ready. And then finally, you have created some sort of training guide. And this is best practices. I mean, what you want is to make sure, let's go back to our DEI training example, that you have, put together all of your slides and you have a script and you have, worksheets and things like that, all the things that you use with your one-on-one clients. You have documented it all. You have delivered it to that other corporate trainer who wants to use your methodology or your DEI training. But there's always going to be those kind of, what to do if this happens in the room, some alternatives if the client, has these other issues. And you want to help them succeed. You want to have, it could be formal. It may be that, for some, it is a video that helps them deliver. For some, I've worked with someone who just literally records herself delivering her training and gives that to the other licensees so they can just see this is what you might expect to happen in the room. These are some questions that come up. This is how you might adapt to what's happening. And so, but you need to have something to help make sure that your licensees succeed. Because at the end of the day, you want the value that you're providing to your clients. You want it to also provide value to your licensees' clients. And this would also apply, by the way, if you're licensing directly to the end client. So in the same example, your DEI training might be licensed directly to your end client. You don't have to go there to deliver it because they have someone in-house that can deliver it. But the same thing applies that in-house facilitator needs to know how to get the same results or similar results that they would get if you were there. And so these are all, but this can definitely take different formats depending on what makes the most sense. So with that, I really should have summary slides, which I don't have, but I will just quickly recount them. You need to have happy clients. When you go from, you're the product at the beginning, it's your expertise, you're in the room with the clients, but you've figured out a process, a methodology, a training that provides the results that your clients want. And then you need to make sure you own it. You need to have the legal right to license that content to third parties, or to your licensees, I should say. And you've documented it. If the goal is to decouple your income from your time, that means you're not going to be in the room when your methodology is delivered. That means you have to have it in a set process and a set documented in a way that somebody else can take it and deliver it and provide results for their clients, and then have a way to help them succeed. You want them to succeed. So with that, I will take any questions you have. I'm wondering if you can read that font. I do see one here from Rachel. Hi, Rachel. How do you audit everything? So this is a fun process, and I have gotten myself in trouble by not realizing how large the content is. But literally, my lovely assistant, Stacy, we go through every single, basically, an audit requires us to track the origin of every element of the content. So I'm going to give you an example of someone who has a certification program. And so from her, I have received all the origin agreements. So all of her contractor agreements, employment agreements, and so I can see licensing agreements where all of the content that is included in her certification program is where it comes from. I need to track it back to its source. And so all the documents are listed. And then I review all the documents to make sure it has the right rights, the sufficient rights that she needs to be able to create the certification program. And then also within the certification program, which is many wonderful modules and lessons long, we take each module and I review each module to make sure that there's nothing in there that she doesn't have the rights to. Something, for instance, sometimes people will incorporate an article from the Harvard Business Review. They don't have the right to it, but they use it because it's a really good example. It completely sets forth whatever the point they're trying to make, whatever the lesson they're trying to teach. It has it all there. And so they use that, and that makes sense to use it, except you wouldn't have the rights to license that to a third party. And so we would need to make sure we have the rights for that. If someone includes an interview, sometimes people include interviews. I have a client who interviews other experts and has included it in her subscription-based site. So we make sure that she has releases from everyone who provided an interview, so that she has the rights to a subscription is a license to all your subscribers. And so we want to make sure that she has the right to license the content on that website to her subscribers. And so it is literally every bit of the content is all listed in a spreadsheet. I review it all and then, determine if it's good to go or if there are any issues that need to be resolved. I wrote a summary for myself, but if it helps you create materials and or other viewers. Huh. I don't know. You have a colon there as if there's something more to come, but so if you can add that if you like. So it has been wonderful to talk to you today. If you have any other questions, if I don't get to them, I'll see them in the comments on LinkedIn Live. Again, you can find a recording at my profile or on my YouTube channel. And please sign up for my newsletter. And also, if you connect with me on LinkedIn to let me know if you would like to get the guide that I am currently working on that goes through all of these points that will help you determine whether or not you are ready to turn your expertise into a scalable revenue. So it's been wonderful to be here, and thanks again.